Hello, gentlemen, and welcome to this recipe where I'm super hyped and excited to be European. Now, I'm not saying that out of any fucking, like, the right-wing Twitter meme person way. I'm just saying that because I really like the food, really like the culture, really like the music. And this dish, Vadas, is Hungarian, but it comes from the near Prague, like it talks about. You can find this dish in Prague, and we're gonna start off by peeling all of our vegetables. Now, all of our vegetables in this case are gonna be some carrots, some white carrots, I think the roots of the celery, and also roots of parsley. So those roots are going to give us a very nice earthy flavor, and as you saw, are going to make the base for our red orange-ish sauce. I'm going to be practicing here my fucking Swedish skills as I struggle to cut open this root. It's very, very nice. I do somehow manage to get it cut because it's fucking not strong knife, very, very strong. And then I'm also going to be chopping up an onion. So basically what this is, you take a super, super tough cut of meat, and then you take with it a bunch of these vegetables, you blend up the vegetables into a very beautiful sauce, and then you make next to it some bread dumplings. You boil them and then you pan sear them in some lard. This recipe uses a bunch of unconventional methods, like using lard and also using sugar in it in an interesting way, which you're going to be seeing. So I'm peppering down this cutting board. We're not going to be salting the meat ahead of time, as we just want to get a very nice crust on the pepper. We want it to be dry. If we salted this right before, it'd draw out what little moisture is left of this top round, which is usually a really fucking dog shit cut of meat. It's a very nice nice few seconds of video here. It's a very dog shit cut of meat usually, but for this we need it, right? Because we're going to be cooking this for 2.5 hours around, boiling it for 2.5 hours or just simmering. And the last thing we want is for it to be something like a chuck, because that's going to be way too tender. That's going to fall apart completely, and we still want it to retain somewhat like a steak-like texture, because we're going to be cutting it crosswise into fucking circles. So over here, we're going to be heating up the first of many spoonfuls of pork lard, into which we're going to be depositing our beautiful beef. We're going to be searing this guy first to give something for our sugar later, which is also going to be caramelized, to give something for our sugar to pick up, and also to give something for the vegetables to pick up. So a bunch of this fondant is going to act as a very, very nice base for a bunch of our flavor. Now, as you can see here, I tried to fucking pick up this meat. After a few minutes, it doesn't work. In that case, this is like medium, high heat. In that case, just let it sit there a little bit until the crust develops and until you can move it freely. As you can see, it now detaches freely, and it has a super, super nice sear. It's kind of fucking going all over the place, being a little bit angry because like the water is touching the oil and it's getting a little bit hot. But it doesn't matter. Don't let yourself get intimidated by that. Just fucking cook that off, sear it, but make sure that you don't burn the fond, because the fond is a very important part of the process. Now we're going to be searing off the end. You can hear very nice audio, a little bit of Hungarian lesson for you in the background. And then we're going to be taking this guy out very shortly to make room for our sugar. Yes, I know this is very, very weird. It's pork fat, and then we're caramelizing beef in it, and then we're fucking caramelizing sugar in it further. Trust me, it gives a very, very wonderful, rich flavor to the sauce, and it's not going to taste like asshole in the slightest. So we're going to be putting in our few spoonfuls of castor sugar, which is granulated sugar, and then we're going to be stirring it, which is antithetical to almost every rule of fucking caramelizing sugar, right? But we're going to be doing this to get the fond off the pan and stop it from burning. It's okay if it seizes up a little bit, just like add a little bit of lard, a little bit more lard. I know, super weird method. Just keep in mind the flavor is going to be absolutely amazing. After we have that done, have that nice and caramelized, you can see it gets browned. We're going to be putting in our vegetables. We're going to be stirring these up and then adding a nice spoonful of mustard, some fucking bay leaves, as well as our meat. Now, our meat is going to be relatively hard to put in this. Lol, no pun intended, because the pan isn't that wide-bottomed. So we're going to be putting in our meat with our resting juices, and we're just going to be trying to nestle it in as best as we can. We're not going to be worried about it if it's like not the best. We're just going to be fucking making do with what we can. So that nice big spoonful of mustard is going to go in pretty soon, as is a couple of bay leaves, as I said. And then we're also going to be salting this, and then adding some white wine to deglaze the bottom and whatever may be stuck. There's the spoonful of Dijon mustard. There's a bunch for black pepper. Black pepper is very essential to this recipe. Vadas, you want it to be hunter style, fucking like hunter bloodborne, yay. You can see here we're doing the deglazing. You can see there we're adding the red wine. It all goes very fast. Trust me, this recipe, if you make it, will not go very fast. It'll actually take quite a good amount of work, but it'll be worth it and it'll pay off completely. And then we're going to be covering this guy most of the way with vegetable stock. Don't use beef or chicken. I find that the flavor is much more congruent to like what we actually want if we just use a nice vegetable stock. Now, this looks somewhat like a Japanese curry. Why the fuck you copy Japan, you fuck you European? It's okay. We're going to be blending this, and it's going to become very, very nice and unique and Hungarian and Czechoslovakian. Alright, gentlemen, these videos are no holds barred. This is the exact advice I would give to anyone asking me for help with cooking and nutrition. Nothing is kept secret, and nothing is omitted. For this reason, if you find that this video, or any of my others in the past have helped you in any way, please do me a humongous favor. Scroll down in the description, click on the first link there. It's going to be my online course, which compiles all this knowledge about cooking and nutrition. It's going now for an exclusive pre-sale price. Thank you very much for your time, and let's get started. Alright, now that you were very beautifully convinced by my course, we're going to be making the bread dumplings to go along with it. So for that, we're going to be chopping up 3 loaves of bread that are ideally a little bit stale, so they're going to toast and soak up liquids better and be a little bit firmer. So, once we chop these up... Oh, it seems I misplaced the fucking text. Hold on, let me just fix something in post-editing, lol. Okay, so, once we chop these guys up, we're going to be toasting them. And then we're also going to be using 3 eggs, right? So 1 egg per loaf, but I wouldn't do more than 3 eggs. So we're going to be chopping up a red onion here, which is going to be going into our dumplings. And then we're going to be toasting, searing off this red onion in a bunch of lard. This is going to take a while to chop. This is a pretty fucking big endeavor. It's okay, just take your time with it. We're going to be chopping these relatively fine, searing them off, browning them, or reddening them, as the Hungarians would say, megpirítsük, in a little bit of lard. And we're going to be adding in some chopped parsley at the end of these onions. So basically for our mixture, for our dumplings, we're going to be having 3 eggs, a little bit of water, a little bit of salt, pepper, good spoonful of pork lard on top of what we toast the onions in, and then obviously the onion and parsley mixture. And then the bread itself, the rolls itself that have already been toasted, as well as a couple of spoonfuls of flour. So you can see the cooking process here for the onions. Nice voice crack and burp all at the same time. If you put a scar on my hand, then it's game time. Fortnite reference. So, once these are going to be nicely fucking browned, we're going to be adding them to our mixture. But we still have a little bit of a way to go after that. In the meantime, let's get to the parts of the recipe that I didn't film because, Lord knows, this is very amateurish of me to not get some of this footage. But alas, I didn't. So here's going to be the game plan. Once it's been like 2.5 hours-ish, right? The meat is cooked 100% undoubtedly. In that time, like flip it once maybe. And then take out the meat, let it rest, let it do whatever. Cut it up into thin strips like you saw on the bottom of the you saw in the beginning how it was presented. The bottom slice was the meat. That's how you should slice it. And the sauce ingredients, literally, just blend them all. Just fucking blend them all. Maybe reserve a little bit of the liquid at first to adjust for the consistency. And I'm also adding in a bit of the half and half into this mixture. And then after you're done with the blending of these ingredients of the sauce, right, which is not shown here, what you want to do is you'd like to fucking return those to the pot, add temper some sour cream, which just basically means ladle some of the sauce into a bowl of sour cream, like a good 1/4 to a 1/2 cup, depending on how much you want it. I'd recommend around 1/4 cup. And then return that to the sauce. So you add some sour cream to it, and then add a little bit of heavy cream to it. And then that's going to be your sauce done. Beautiful. And then you're going to plate it with some, I did warmed blueberries, courtesy of a Hungarian channel. I should have said this. I got this recipe from a Hungarian cooking channel, which I will link in the description. But basically, that's it for your sauce. And then you slice up your meat, serve it like it was shown in the picture, and then serve a big one of these fucking dumpling guys on top of it. And for the dumpling, we just mix all these ingredients, as I've already said. Put in the bread, mix it together, put in some flour, mix that all together, form dough balls, right? You have to have a little bit of skill to make them not fucking fall apart, which I did moderately well. And then you're going to want to boil them for like 6-ish minutes. Again, courtesy of this Hungarian guy who made the recipe. And this is going to result in a very nice texture. That's going to be a nice carb to accompany this meal. You can also serve it with potatoes or rice or fucking rice. I wouldn't recommend actually. Potatoes or some pasta shape, like gnocchi or some other noodles. If you'd like to, if you want to take the liberty of serving it with something else than these bread dumplings, because they are pretty tedious to make. And then once you've boiled them, you want to sear them off in pork fat again. I know. So there are 3 applications of pork fat in these dumplings. First is to sear the red onions, second is in the actual dough itself, and then third, to sear the dumplings when they are finished boiling. You can see here how we're mixing them up very, very nicely, and then we're forming fucking balls of roughly equal sizes. You can see around, like, yeah, they fit in my palm very well, but they're also not, like, they're all not too small, not too big, and 6 minutes should be pretty good amount of time for these. I would definitely maybe reduce the amount of onion I put in them, or like tweak the recipe a little bit to just reduce the size and improve the overall texture of the dumpling. But that's pretty much the only thing I would change in this recipe. Other than that, when you have your fucking sauce blended, your meat sliced, your dumplings boiled and seared, you're ready to plate, and you're ready to make a very, very beautiful meal. Here I'm just wetting my hands with the boiling water, and then I think some of the last footage you're going to see is just these guys boiling. So thank you very much for watching, and remember, my catchphrase, which I try to say at the end of every video, is you may not have a lot of time, but you do have enough for whatever that you are trying to achieve in life. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.